One of the biggest questions health coaches ask me is, how do I fit in a coaching business into my already busy life? Maybe you're a doctor, nurse, or teacher, a therapist, a practitioner of some sort, or a parent or a caregiver. Maybe you're all of those things at once. And what I've discovered after mentoring hundreds of health coaches is something that surprises people. The coaches who succeed did not necessarily have more time. In fact, many of them have less. Some of our most successful health coaches started with just 5 hours a week. Meanwhile, I've seen people with 20, 30, or even 40 available hours make almost no progress. Why? Because success is not about having more time. It's about knowing where to focus the time that you already have. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because if you're willing to make time for your dream, your purpose, your future, then I'm going to show you how to do it without burning yourself out. So let's dive in. Now, one of the biggest lessons I teach my clients is you don't necessarily need more time, you need alignment. Alignment saves time. Imagine you're driving from point A to point B. One route has traffic jams and detours and every red light imaginable. The other one, clear sailing all the way through, all the green lights. Both roads get you to the same destination, but one gets you there much faster. Success works exactly the same way. When you're out of alignment, we create resistance. We create the roadblocks. We create the detours and the delays. And then we think we need more time. Often what we really need is less resistance. So if you've read my books or watched my mindset videos, you've heard me talk about the love elevator. And your six-figure practice is at the top of this love elevator. If you're operating from fear, frustration, blame, overwhelm, scarcity, you can spend years over here and never reach your six-figure practice. Your six-figure practice is right up here at the top of the love elevator. So you just can't get here from there. It's in a different elevator. Sometimes the fastest way forward is to get to neutral. You want to get to the neutral lobby. So when you get to neutral, the solution often appears much faster than forcing it. Burnout is not what people think. Most people think burnout comes from doing too much. I don't actually believe that's true. Burnout comes from doing too much of the wrong thing. Burnout comes from confusion and lack of clarity and spinning your wheels, walking in circles, thinking about it. And when you're making progress, when clients are getting results, when you're moving forward, you actually feel energized, you feel excited, you feel motivated. And so the exhaustion comes from putting in effort and not seeing any results. That's what causes the burnout. That's why finding the constraint matters. It's one of the greatest prevention tools I know. You want to diagnose the constraint. One of my favorite teachings from Alex Hormozi is every business has one constraint, one bottleneck, one weak link, not 10, one. So imagine a chain. And if one link is broken here, strengthening this link over here, maybe it's certifications and you're learning more about something you already know about, that doesn't help here. The chain still breaks. Most health coaches spend years strengthening the wrong links. They think I need another certification, I need another course, another website, another funnel. But often none of those things are the actual bottleneck constraint. And the more time spent working on something that is not the constraint, the more likely you are to burn out. So burnout comes from working on the non-constraint. That's wasting time. By the way, if you'd like help identifying the constraint in your business, I host free small group trainings for health coaches. They're interactive, they're customized, they're a lot of fun. They're designed to help you identify exactly what is holding you back, whether it's your niche, your offer, your client attraction, your sales process, your business model. We can help you identify what is the constraint in your business and where to focus next. That's absolutely valuable. There's a link below where you can apply. All right, now let's continue. Where are you dropping eggs? One of the ways I teach this is to think of your business and carrying your potential clients through a process like carrying eggs. Every stage is very delicate. So first, people need to know that you exist. And then from knowing that you exist, some of them will become leads. They will raise their hands and they're like, I'm interested in that problem. I want to know that. Then some of those will book a call to talk to you, to dive deeper, a second diagnostic call. Then some of those on that sales call will receive an offer. And some of those will buy and become your clients. And then some go on and continue to get better and better results and transformation. So the question isn't, why don't I have clients? The question is, where am I dropping eggs in this process? Because that's where the constraint is. If nobody knows that you exist, that's the constraint. If people know that you exist, but nobody's booking calls, that's the constraint. If people book calls, but they're not buying, that's the constraint. So find the first place that this flow breaks. That's where your time belongs. If nobody knows that you exist, it doesn't make any sense to spend hours, months, years perfecting your program down here. First, we have to get people to this first stage. Okay, let's get practical. Every single one of us gets 168 hours every week, not one more, not one less. Let's look at what are you going to use with that 168 hours? Let's do a time audit. So I want you grab a pen, take out a piece of paper and write 168 hours. That's how many hours there are in a week. Now, what I want you to do is allocate and subtract how many hours are devoted to sleeping every night and then every week, work, your primary weekly activity, then non-negotiables, other things that you do every week, family commitments, appointments, everything that already exists. And most people are shocked when they do this because they discover they actually have more available time than they thought, but they're spending it unconsciously. One study showed the average person spends around 2.5 hours per day on social media. And for some of you, it might even be more than that. That's over 36 full days a year. 36 days. Imagine what would happen if even a fraction of that time was invested into your future. And once you know where your time is going, we can start to clean it up. And so we look at all of these things and look at what time do we have available. And so if we have 150 hours, when we add all of these things, we've got 18 hours left to deal with. So put it all in there. Then once we know what the time that we have, now let's take a look and clean it up. Exactly the same way that you would do with a clean up a diet with a food journal. And I call it delete, delegate, diminish. So we're going to delete the mindless scrolling, the junk food, if you will, unnecessary TV, internet rabbit holes. Then we're going to delegate things perhaps like house cleaning or other chores, errands, repetitive tasks, things someone else could do. Then we're going to diminish distractions, interruptions, searching for things, repeating the same tasks over and over. Systems save time. So if you're always finding that you're wasting time looking for those same things, solve that problem, create a system for it. Templates and processes save time. The more systems that you build, the less time and energy you waste. That's how I survived having 4 kids, building a medical practice, building a coaching practice, systems. So then once you know the available time that you have for your practice each week, the next step is to get specific on when is that exactly, and set your hours of operation. So this might be one of the most important things that I'm going to teach you here on time. Treating your business like a surgeon. So when you're a surgeon, you scrub in. This is supposed to be sterile hand scrub in. And then when you're done, you scrub out. Scrub in, scrub out. They have to be very specific times. So when you're in surgery, you're in surgery. And when you're with your family, you're with your family. There is no crossover. You're not trying to do an appendectomy while having dinner with the family. And you're not watching, a movie with your family while you're in surgery. When you're working on your business, you're working on your business. The problem is that most people are never fully anywhere. They're with their family, but stressing about work, or they're texting clients. Then when they should be working their business, they're scrolling social media. And so they're doing business while feeling guilty about not doing laundry and vice versa. And that creates exhaustion. The solution is simple: set hours of operation non negotiable. This is a time that you always work your business. Maybe your coaching business is Monday to Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. if you work full times. Or maybe it's Monday to Wednesday, 10 to 2 while kids are at school. Even if it's just 5 hours a week, I'd rather you have 5 hours that are dedicated, sacred, dedicated hours for your business so that you can inch it forward than 20 hours that never actually happen. But set hours, though, for the other things, the other non-negotiables, like family, other things, the appointments. Have time for appointments. But if your business is Monday to Wednesday, 10 to 2, you never go for lunch with someone else on a Tuesday at noon. That's for Friday. That's for Saturday. That's for evening at 7 p.m. because you're scrubbed in. You're scrubbed in. But this will break down unless you make time for the other things. Family, your exercise. These are things you're going to do. They just never, ever go during your hours of operation. That's the difference between our coaches that make six figures, 500,000 and beyond, and those who spend the same amount of weeks and months and years and end up having zero. This is critically important. You can do a lot in a little time. I was working 100 hours as a doctor at 4 little kids when I was building my six-figure practice. I didn't have a lot of time, so I had to be very deliberate with it. You want to make time for family, for exercise, all of those, your faith, all those things that matter to you. That's why we're doing all of this business. Not so you can become busier, not so you can create another job that you have to escape from, not so you can burn yourself out. We're building a business that creates time freedom. Most business models require a trade out. Typically, the more income you make, the less time for freedom, health, joy, relationships. What we're doing here, what I'm teaching you here is different. We're getting to the root cause of the dis-ease in your business. Just like when you help a client solve the root cause of their health problem, by getting to the root cause, the way I'm teaching you here, then, and you allocate the time for your family, everything is getting better. More freedom, more time, more health, more joy, more relationships. The more that you do your business, the better your life gets, the more free time you get. That's the goal. If you'd like customized help creating a business that gives you more impact, income, and freedom, there's a link in the description to apply for one of my free 5 small group trainings on how to go from 0 to 6 figures without burning out. We'll help identify exactly where are you at and what's holding you back and map out a plan. And there's a link below. And now, once you've built the right business model, there's one more critical piece that stops many health coaches from ever reaching 6 figures, and it's invisible. It's what I call your financial thermostat. In the next video, I'm going to show you how health coaches are unconsciously sabotaging their own success and how to increase your ability to receive, how to break through that money ceiling that keeps people stuck for years, sometimes a lifetime. Because sometimes the thing blocking your success isn't the strategy, it's the mindset. And if you don't address it, you'll stay exactly where you are, no matter how hard you work. So watch the hidden money ceiling blocking your coaching success and how to fix it. I'll see you over there. Be good for you.